This stage, criminalising people who use drugs serves absolutely no purpose. It doesn't actually deter anyone from using drugs. They're going to do it anyway, and by criminalising them, you actually bring their life to an abrupt halt. Because once they get a criminal record for using drugs, it doesn't matter whether they're smoking hash at the weekend or having a snort of coke at a party. They are just automatically assumed that they are an addict, and therefore, as an addict, they're not going to be able to contribute. You can't trust them. They automatically lie. There's a whole wealth of misinformation associated with an individual who uses drugs. Somebody who uses drugs automatically is assumed to be dishonest, liable to hurt you, have absolutely no morals, and is basically your worst nightmare. That is not the case. I know lots of people who are really, really nice, genuine individuals, and they use drugs. Well, how many people do we know have 3 pints a night? How many people do we know go down to the pub a couple of times a week? Alcohol is a drug, so is nicotine, so is caffeine. So if you want to actually take this to its logical conclusion, well, you don't drink coffee, you don't go to the pub, and you don't, do you know what I mean? We need to become a little bit more realistic and sensible about how we actually view this. Just because somebody uses drugs does not automatically make them a bad person. When an individual is criminalised, right, they have a record. So if for any reason they come to the attention of the police, there is actually a written record of the fact that you have offended, right? Most policemen will see conviction for drugs. They will think all sorts of things, because there's all sorts of myths and exaggerations associated with drugs. I know lots of people who use drugs who hold down jobs, are perfectly sociable, rare families, are in stable, good relationships, have mortgages. Now, if it became known that these individuals use drugs, trying to get a mortgage if you've got a criminal record, forget about it. There's so many blocks that we have instituted in our society that if somebody gets a criminal record, they're just automatically excluded from that. It becomes so much harder to actually get that. Like, imagine if you had a relative in the States and you wanted to go and see them. Forget about going to the States. Forget about going to Australia. If you've got a conviction for drugs, you're not doing any of that. So, you know, I think we need to put a little bit more thought into why we're, you know, the whole thing about criminalisation. I mean, to my way of thinking, it really doesn't actually serve any purpose. Drugs have been increasing year after year after year. When I initially started using drugs back in the 80s, there was a very small group of people using drugs. Now it isn't a small group anymore, it's quite a large group. And that's the people we know of.